Hello, everybody. I am Jade Leyva. I welcome you to our Friday session of art and art chat and art making. Today, I am supposed to have Israel Haros López as a guest. He's going to be joining me. I don't see him on my that he signed in yet, so I'm just gonna chat a little bit with you about his work while he signs in. So he is an artist from East LA, and he is a really good artist. I actually came to know his work by walking into an art show that I did. I was invited to a show at Mill Contemporary Gallery in Santa Fe. And I remember as I walked into this show, it was an exhibition that was called Sanctuary. It was about 2 or 3 years ago. And I remember walking into it, and my first impression, the first thing that I saw as I walked in was a really large piece that was created on paper. It was like a mural. It was really, really beautiful. It had like this shamanic, pre-Columbian, postmodern look. Also, like it had like mixtures of like Eastern cultures with Mesoamerican cultures, and I thought it was really interesting. So that was the work of Israel, and later on, I got to know him that day and his lovely wife, Isabel Ribe. I think it's Ribe, actually. And they're both artists, and they have a really cool a collective in Santa Fe. They actually organized a collective organization that is designed to like create all kinds of art, and I think they have many members in the community that are actually hold on, you guys, he's messaging me. So yeah, he's coming in a minute. So you guys, his work is really wonderful. I am so pleased to be able to introduce his work and to be able to share his work with you, because he's a person who I admire a lot, and I admire his wife's work. She's a painter. She also does like art therapy as well, and also she does this beautiful beaded jewelry as well. So and she's an amazing beadwork artist. So, but I would welcome Israel. He's right here. Hello, Israel. Hi.
Hi.
How are you?
Late.
That's okay, no problem. You know, you gave me a chance. You gave me a little bit of a chance about talking about your work. I was just chatting a little bit about how, like, my first exposure to your work was actually like when I walked into the Sanctuary show in Santa Fe. And let me like overlay it here. Let me just show it really quick. This was the first piece that I saw. I think this was the piece, right, that you had at Sanctuary?
Yes.
Yeah, so that was it. So beautiful. It was a really large piece, and I thought that was a really wonderful, like just caught my attention because it had like a pre-Columbian feel to it, but also it had like it also like had mixtures of ancient culture, like shamanic feel, and also you could see like it was a fusion between like Eastern cultures meeting Mesoamerican cultures. It was just so awesome to see, and that's when I first saw your work. And I was just sharing that with everyone, that it was a really fun experience to like, that was my first impression. And ever since, I've loved what you do, and your wife too, Isabel. It's just awesome to see, you know, how you guys are so active in the arts in Santa Fe and in New Mexico in general. And I'd love to chat a little bit with you about, like, you know, you come from East LA and all of that. So we're gonna be utilizing one of your drawings here. I have it right here. And hopefully people were able to print it. He was so kind to let us give us permission to print it. If anyone on the previous post, I posted it, you're able to print it if you'd like. And he'll be able to share later on more about the coloring books that he's done. Really wonderful. Oh, I love your artwork behind you. Wow, that's awesome. Cool. So anyway, so yeah, so how are you today, Israel?
I'm really good that we're having this conversation. Been Zooming all day. I don't usually Zoom all day, but today I was Zooming all day, and it was like, okay, I just got to make it to 4:00. It's like, which is like, usually it would be like, oh no, I got to make it to whenever the last Zoom call was, but it was like, oh, I just got to make it to this nice place that I'm going to.
Oh, well, good. I hope that that this is a medium that we all are exploring now. I have been doing videos since like March on my art page, and it's something that we're all, I think, as creative people, we're exploring more and more. And so this is like the 4th visit I have with like doing it in this medium, and I have to say I am so honored and pleased to have you here. Thank you. So I hope that the wave of the Zoom is not too crazy.
No, it's good. Everybody else was like, oh, I gotta get out, I gotta make it. But that one image you were showing earlier was actually three artists.
Awesome.
It was me, Juan Lira, and John Paul Granillo. And it was at a beginning when I had first, that was probably maybe a couple months working with them, maybe longer. We had been working on the New Mexico mural project and really trying to tell them that we just got to do the work that we want to do. We don't have to do anybody else's work. And people are going to come to us. And it was a really change of pace for both of them, especially for John Paul Granillo, because he had done a lot of work in Canyon Road and in the downtown area, and always because of our Mexican identity, our Mexican American identity, our Chicano identity, always having to curtail how or what we painted. And I think this was really a big healing piece for him and Juan, because he's like, we get to paint whatever we want. So the main image I painted with the premise of, what was that one called? It's called "We Build Those Walls. We come from the center of the earth." It was part of a series of pieces that we got to do in town, and that one's on Tyvek, and it's 9 by 12 feet. And I have to also say,
can I overlay it really quick? There.
And it's 9 by 12 feet, and I want to talk about that because, it's on Tyvek. And if you get to start to see closer in the image, you could see the buffalo and the deer. Those are the things that John Paul Granillo and Juan Lira added. There's like a little hummingbird in there. But the main image is my work. And it's this Mother Earth figure. And like you said, a Tonantzin, Mesoamerica Tonantzin figure. And you'll see there's the Nahue Olin, the symbol for movement, is right in the middle. And you have this barbed wire there, because I wanted this piece to be centered around our indigeneity, our crossing back and forth. And like also because I had an elder tell me once, our ancestors didn't just want us to copy them, that they were always adapting. So I think a lot of times people look at like our indigeneity as far as like being Mexicanos, being from that side of the border, as people that it's a dead culture or that we're not part of it. But if we use the same criteria that the US uses to label indigenous bodies here, 85% of Mexico would be considered indigenous. So a lot of the work for me is about that continuity. As my mom would say, tienes el nopal en la frente, you have the cactus in your forehead.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And you can see even in the work behind me, like the symbols above, that some of them are really abstracted, because one, it's like looking at my indigeneity, but also saying like, I don't know, right? And that I'm just a bridge to that next generation that will know. And a lot of the work is exploring that bridge, that healing, and that bridge making of giving myself permission to use those symbols, like in the image that we're using today.
Yes. Yes, I thought, I was a very, like both of them are very, the reason why I chose those two, like when I wanted to ask you if I could do that one, all of them were so beautiful. Like I have to say, like I was really hard to like choose, one to do today, but I just love the symbolism of the turtle, because resembles of the earth, and the ground itself, and also the butterfly. It's just so amazing, like how butterflies are like a symbol of migration,
Right.
so it's kind of like movement against like the solid ground kind of thing. So I thought they would be really fun to do. That was my interpretation anyway.
A lot of times, because part of those coloring books that you were looking at, the codices, it's part of a series that I'm doing that's 1,000 pages. The whole thing is 1,000 pages, but I realized like nobody's gonna want to flip through 1,000 pages. So again, looking at the elders that have taught me and talked about our place in time and being with our heritage and our inheritance. And for me, it's really important to be that codex maker, that we're not just artists, we're poets and we're scribes, and that we're codex makers, and that we're recovering all our memory, all our ancestral memory. And so for me, it was about making this big book, which I haven't published it, but I finished it. So there's a book of 1,000 pages, and published already is half of it. I started doing them in sections of 52 pages, 52 to 100. And really, again, like, because I would post them online, people would be like, aren't you afraid someone's going to take your images, someone's going to steal your work? I'm like, it's not mine. None of this work is mine. It's a gift Creator gave to me to give out to the world, to hopefully inspire others to be abundant. So the work, that's why it's 1,000. And that's why a lot of times I work in those numbers. So like, let's do 100 pieces. Let's do 1,000 pieces. So let's do those big pieces, because I think we have a lot of scarcity in our mind, or think like that we only know so much, right? Like maybe in that image that you showed at the beginning, people recognize the Olin, or in this, they'll recognize the butterfly and the turtle. But then again, that Olin symbol, that movement symbol that's inside, right in the center, right? And that's our historical, that's like our yin and yang, right? That's our fire, our water, our calm, our balance. And it's in the center of the Aztec sun. Again, it's like that Olin and the eagle and the butterfly. But the reality too, that there's so many more layers to their interpretation. That's why when you tell me, oh, this is what I thought, I always tell people like, oh, I guess the kitty wants to join in on the call.
Awesome. Nice cat. I'm dealing with, like I adopted a baby cat, and she's in the other room, but she's a feral kitty. So she just arrived on Monday, and it's been tough to like get her to like calm down. Like we'll see. We're gonna keep on working on it. Oh, look at that! That's awesome.
This one stays very calm. Copal stays very calm,
Look
and he
at
always
that.
jumps. But so people are always telling me like, oh, what does that mean? I go, I don't know what it means. You tell me. And they think I'm like messing with them. But I think like I was telling you, I'm a bridge. I'm part of the piece, and they're part of the piece. And also that when we look at our ancient symbols and what we're left to interpret, there's so much in them. They're doorways, like that butterfly is, huh?
One of the things that I see with your work is, and that's something that attracts me a lot, because like growing up, like seeing like the ancient sites and all of that, like the codexes and like the pyramids and all of the carvings, like in the Mayan culture, in Teotihuacan, and like in Mexico City and all that, like seeing all of those symbols, it like your work has like an element of that, but it has a very unique, also like a very unique feel to you. So it's like something that is like, you have a very particular style that is your style. You know what I mean? Like you can tell that has like that feeling of like ancientness and shamanic feel, but also like it has a, like when you see it, you immediately know that is your work. So that's one of the things that I feel, that is a really wonderful thing. And that's why I was so excited to do a drawing today. But like, if you want to, Israel, can we get to the coloring part and then we'll continue talking?
Yeah, you could color, because I'm like, I realized I printed it out and I'm like, wait, I don't have no colors. So you could color.
Okay. So I wanted to ask you a question. Do you have like any kind of like advice as far as like the kind of color scheme that you use for your art? Is there anything, is it like a intuition kind of thing, or is it something that you like, or do you say, oh, like green looks good to like red or orange? Is there anything like that? Because I'm gonna be mixing like opposite colors within the turtle, so and the butterfly. So I don't know if you have anything to say about that, because we've been talking a lot about like color composition.
Yeah, well, I've been laughing because we were talking about this earlier, and I was laughing then, and I'm laughing again now, because there's a couple of things that influence me color-wise. Again, it's like the landscape of ancestral work, and then living in Boyle Heights, living in East LA, which is like a mural capital, and all the color schemes that I saw there, and all the color schemes that I saw on lowriders.
Oh my God,
and
really?
I didn't realize that was an influence. But then I started writing about that. I started calling this thing called that I'm still working on, called the Barrio University, the Barrio Art University. And it's talking about the ways in which I don't have any formal training, like you don't have any formal training, right? But the way that our landscape really informs us. And there's a lot of schools in Chicano art, in Mexican American art, that are really particular, that are really public, that really have informed us, right? So you have like the Mexican muralists, and the big ones being Rivera and Siqueiros, but so many others that came along with that, influencing our color palette, right? And them looking at ancestral work. But nobody talks about the fact that they were the first ones to use acrylic, the first ones to use like spray, like the stuff that they used to use to spray paint cars. Like that technology to paint. So in some ways they become the first graffiti artists, in that way. I like to think about them too in that way. So but the reason why I was laughing is because I've been doing all these different color schemes, and I started doing these luchadores, and I realized the colors that I was picking instinctually were lowrider palettes. And the really awesome thing about that gets handed down in that tradition of lowrider colors is that, like, to get that candy red, popping red, there's like so underneath it.
Like a dark red?
Yeah, it's like they do, like, they prime it black, and then they prime it, and then they color it 5 layers of a blue, and then they color it 5 layers of a silver, and then they it's like all this like knowledge that gets passed down from lowrider artist to lowrider artist.
Oh wow, that's so awesome.
Yeah, that I had never even really thought about it. And then, because you're talking about color theory and the stuff that you guys have been talking about, the ways in which all this knowledge is passed down orally through Chicano lowriders. And if you look at pinstriping, that's a whole other like art form, but it's also tied to sacred geometry, which, just like this image, is tied to this balance. Because when you do pinstriping, it's super like, geometrical, and it has to be like, all the lines have to be so clean, and all the skill level has to be so on point, So,
I see. That's awesome. Have you done one thing that I wanted to like talk a little bit about is like your amazing work that you've been doing with Alas de Agua. And you guys on the bottom here, I'm scrolling like information. We're going to be reading your comments too. So please say hello. Tell us if you have any questions at the end. We'll be answering. Right now, we're on the coloring part, but please put in any questions that you might have. I'm going to put, here's the Alas de Agua is a collective that Israel has put together. And there's many members, but I'll let him tell you more about it. It's like a really wonderful organization that is art oriented, and they do really wonderful projects around Santa Fe. So yeah, tell us about it, Israel.
Yeah, but so the reason why I was laughing too is because I went and took a really thorough eye exam in Colombia about 4 or 5 years ago, and it cost me like $10 versus getting eye exam in the States.
Oh, wow.
Way. And they did a colorblind test. And they were like, "You're colorblind."
What?
And I freaked out, right? Because I was like, wait a minute, I'm an artist. I can't be colorblind. And then I was thinking like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? Right? Because you freak out. Imagine someone telling you, Jade, like, you're colorblind. And you're like, what are you talking about? I see all the colors I see. But there's a polka dot test of colors where you can see numbers or not. So I had some like form of like minute color blindness.
Wow.
You know, anyway, so whoever's out there listening to this, thinking about color and afraid of color, and it's just about playing with colors. And it's just about playing, and that's what, at Alas, it's always for me trying to invite people at Alas de Agua to just play. If it's with art or with writing, because I'm also a poet. So we have that.
You guys have like a location, right, in Santa Fe?
Yeah, so we have a location that because of COVID we've been shut down. So that's been the hard part. We've been running as an organization for the last 3 years, like I mentioned earlier, first as a mural collective. And then realizing, well, what else can we offer in the community? And it started with me, John Paul, and Juan Lira, and going out in the community and trying to get resources to different members of the community. And we were fortunate enough that the Kindle Project, who had been seeing the work that we were doing, gave us seed money, gave us $5,000 to create this collective. And we saw it as a need to create a collective in Santa Fe for all the conservative ways that we saw art being displayed. Like we saw that, we didn't have space. Like we were really fortunate after years of trying that somebody like the Mills Contemporary really saw the work we were doing, and they invited us to come and play in their space.
Yes.
But we had a tendency to find that a lot of spaces are super conservative. They tend to have art space that is for tourists, so a lot of the artwork is really safe and really about trying to sell something that's more popular. And a lot of the artwork that we were trying to create was maybe not as conservative, some of it maybe a little bit more controversial. So we created a space where people could voice different types of art. So our space is a space for Native art, for Chicano art, for immigrant art, for POC, Black, and for queer folks. We're just kind of this really created a space for all types of walks of life to come together and create art, and to create also poetry and different events. We were hosting a monthly open mic that every month for the last 3.5 years had been running on a monthly till COVID hit. And our last one was like pretty much by chance, by fate, the day that the government had locally said no more public events, no more gatherings of 100 people or more. So we had our last poetry reading on that day, and we were about to host our third opening for an art show, because we had been doing a bunch of art shows in our space, where we didn't charge any money for people to come and use our space. We would just wanted to be able to create, undo any borders that are not helping any artists of color. So one of those being financial borders. So we would say you can use our art space free of charge, and we'll get you art supplies, and we're not going to try to tailor, whatever it is that you're envisioning as, I'm stopping now because I'm looking at your colors like, ooh.
Yeah, I see. Like maybe like they're, I don't know. Like I think I wanted to do like the shell more on the cool colors, just so that it would like separate from the body. But I think I'm just gonna do it all throughout, like all colorful.
Well, that's like with that I love with John Paul whenever we do murals, because we do a lot of murals right now, and especially right now we had to switch back to doing just solely murals to be outdoors and safe. He's such a beautiful brain compared to me around colors and color theory. That's why you're asking me too. I'm laughing because so he would be able to analyze everything that you're doing right there, and whenever I ask him to critique one of my paintings, he's like, use the cool colors here and the red and the warmer colors over here. And I'm like, wait, talk to me in yellow, green, yellow, blue.
we actually, like a few classes ago, I'll show you. I think I have it. Yeah, we have this. I taught people how to make this. It's like a color wheel, and so we go on the like I typically I don't really look at a color wheel. Like everything that I do is typically just kind of intuitive. But I'm trying to teach like opposite colors, how they go well together and stuff. So anyway, so that was one of the things that I told people about it. So it's interesting how like color combinations work. I was looking at yours though, and I thought they're really beautiful. They have also like a look of their own, like the way how you like the different colors that you mix together. And I'm going to be sharing everyone like Israel's like his Facebook page and all of that, so that way please go visit his work and go look at his beautiful art too. Stay tuned too. So I'm going to show you a few videos and stuff, so that way you can see a little bit of the work they've been doing with Alas de Agua. And yeah, please don't go. So anyway, so yeah, so cool. So tell me, have you been doing murals in Santa Fe?
Right now, yeah, because of like I said, COVID. Even though we opened our doors on January 19th, we were really excited because we got a building after a couple of years of searching and fundraising. We did a big fundraiser last December and into January, and opened our doors in January. And we probably had 200 people come to our opening. It was such a beautiful and amazing. We had the opening from like noon to 5 or 6. People didn't leave till 6 or 7. Ya ni me acuerdo, but had so many people in and out. We were beyond capacity. And then shortly after, we had so many workshops, and we were fundraising, and we had raised probably like $10,000, and we were trying to raise $40,000 so I could finally get paid for the work that I had been doing for the last 3 years.
Oh my goodness.
But when COVID hit, everything had to stop. We were having workshops about 3 or 4 times a week, and really cool because we were also having other people in the community just use our space. So right now we had to close it, and right now it's actually being used by John Paul, one of the artists, as a food resource hub. So every Tuesday we have 400 food boxes through Shamrock, or food company, and they're coming by and they're giving frozen chicken, frozen food,
For
fresh
people
milk.
who need from COVID, huh?
Exactly. So that to me, because art for us has always been the excuse. It's not really the main tool. It's just a way to work with our community. Like when we do the murals, like which is what we're mostly doing now because we had to close down the building. It's more than anything an opportunity for us to talk to each other, to be like 5 feet away, because you're painting a big old mural and you're there for hours and you're talking and engaging with community. And for us, the mural wall, like for me growing up in East LA, it's like that was the only public art that I saw. I didn't have the resources to go to a museum, but there was plenty of places that you could see outdoors because I didn't know at the time, but turns out East LA is one of the places that has most murals per capita. And it's such a big hive for Chicano murals. And the art movement came out of the 70s. A lot of the colors and everything else too is like being influenced for me from that and from graffiti work. From looking at beautiful graffiti work growing up and watching in amazement, watching people be able to do a big mural piece overnight, And so now it's beautiful for me to be able to go out in the community as a Chicano, to be out there, and for young people, young brown faces, young Mexicanos, young immigrants from Central America, Chicanos, or people of all colors, Native folks, Black folks, but to be able to see brown faces during the day with permission, being able to use spray paint on a wall and being legitimized for me feels like such a big deal, as an artist.
One of the things about your organization, I think, is that it empowers people. You know what I mean? It gives people like empowerment in the way that you give them like a vehicle to be able to express their creative side. And that is really good because that we need some this is so necessary for communities to like thrive. And so I think that what you're doing is a wonderful thing. And, and you and your wife and everyone who is involved, like when I see like sometimes when I have seen like the posts and stuff on Facebook when you guys are having like a get together or something, and I just take a look and I go, oh my God, I wish I could hang out. It's a little bit far for me. It's not super far. Like I live 40 minutes from Santa Fe. I could totally, like later on when things get better with COVID, I'll come up and I'll try to come and hang out and witness it in person, because you can tell it's a very vibrant, very creative, very cool community of people from all walks of life that are just sharing their creativity and in that space, and also like outside. Like I just think that the whole thing that you do about providing like scoring like mural spaces for people to create murals, because it's really hard to like be able to do murals, because it's like the process just to be able to apply to do a mural is just tiring. It's just like almost impossible. Like you apply for all this paperwork and then you end up not getting it. So a lot of times like it takes you longer to fill up the paperwork than the mural itself. But I think it's a wonderful thing that you're facilitating that space and that creative state of mind for so many people. And it's just so cool.
Right. For us, it's a lot of the work that I do has to be about dismantling borders. One, because from a just real place, my parents are both Mexicanos, and growing up in LA, and the reality is that we've been migrating up and down, Turtle Island for generations, for thousands of years. And somehow too, with the artwork is also about dismantling borders around institutions, around who gets to speak the truth, who gets to put their art on the walls. So a lot of the projects that we do, we try to make sure people understand that they're not about money. It's like, it's cool if we can get it donated and be able to pay people a bunch of money and have the fanciest of art supplies. But for us, it's like, we want to make art, and how can we do it, and how can we make it affordable for anybody? Because I remember being in high school and being a senior in high school, and California College of the Arts coming and saying anybody can apply to California College of the Arts. And I don't know that before that day I was thinking of being an artist and a career as an artist, but I remember that day just really dreaming big and imagining being an artist and going to art school. But then I remember going home, taking this pamphlet that they gave us, the catalog. And I remember opening up and thinking, well, how do you make a portfolio? How do you make a portfolio? And then realizing, well, a portfolio is going to require money. And I remember just as quickly that day closing that window, just closing that book and saying, that's never going to happen. Like, my mom can't afford that, so I'm not going to be an artist. And actually later on going to UC Berkeley and getting a degree in English, because I felt like, okay, that's something that, from the standpoint of, working and coming from low income, that was something that would bring us money always if I was an English teacher. And not revisiting an artist till like 10 years later, and then eventually getting my MFA from that very same school, like California College of the Arts. But then I made it a mission for myself to always create ways that people feel empowered. So even like a bunch of the drawings in these coloring books, they're made with Sharpie. Because I go to like schools or detention centers to do art workshops, and I ask, an urban youth, how long a Sharpie will last on a wall, and they'll say their first response is always forever. But then you really sit there and go, you really think that Sharpie's going to last forever on a bus or on a wall or in a restroom? And then they sit with them, they're going, nah, maybe a year, maybe a couple months. Yeah. And then I show them the books, right? I show them, that I made this book with just, Sharpies. And then they go, well, that's forever, And
that's like, awesome.
I flipped the consciousness of them being able to think about the power of a Sharpie, the power of them to be able, when I say I'm doing 1,000 pieces, and all of a sudden they see it as a way that they are artists, that they can be codex makers, that they can tell their history with just a pen, with just a marker and a piece of paper.
That's awesome.
I show them like this is what the books look like, before they become.
Oh wow! Look at that.
So this is actually the next book. Well, actually, two of them, because some of it is dealing with like the historic. Wait, which way do I flip it? Some of it's dealing with the historical reality right now of like colonization. So one of these books is really heavy. It's called Cantos para Tezcatlipoca, and it's looking at the shadows of colonization. And then the other one that I'm doing is just another book in the series.
Wow, so, I love the deer. That's awesome.
To orient, because you told me how I had to think backwards with the camera. Like.
Oh yeah. It's like it's counterintuitive.
Yeah. But then, so yeah, this is one of the books, and then the other book that's in here.
Oh, I love that one that has like the butterflies, like the one that you just passed through. It's so nice. Like it's like a shaman with like the butterflies coming out of his hand or her hand. Mm-hmm. So cool. Mm-hmm. I love that.
And then this is for the next. This is like a landscape coloring book, because most of the books that I have done in the past have been oriented this way. But I've been doing so many murals now that I'm like, I need to orient them like landscape.
Awesome.
But all these is just with the Sharpie, and again, trying to, wait, ¿cómo le doy vuelta? I'm trying to figure out the image.
It's like the left is the right and the right is the left on the camera. Awesome.
And you know, because I'm just trying to give people that power, like they can create their own language. And if I really sit with it, I've probably done like 10,000 images in the last 10 years. You know?
My goodness, but you're a very prolific artist. Wow, that's awesome.
So these are all actually from the beginning month of COVID. Like in March, this is what I was doing, because I was like, everything's closed down. I can't do anything, so I might as well work on my next book. So
sure.
I was doing like 10 images a day. This one's about ice. You know,
I see. Okay. Yeah. I like the way how you like have like totem like images that are like combined, like they kind of meet Mayan culture. It's just so cool to see like how like the fusion of cultures that you have, just natural, you know, it just flows naturally. It doesn't like, it's just so cool.
I'm trying to like center it. I'm like,
yeah, I have to go to the right if I want to be in the center. Cool. That is wonderful. Can you tell us like where people can find your work and stuff? Like, say, oh, there's somebody. Hold on, Israel. Before we say anything, I'd like to read you. Like some people are saying hello. Somebody in Chula Vista is watching. Hi, Jade and Israel. People are just saying hello. So they just wanted to check in with you. Hello, everybody. So anyway, so let's see. I have some links here. This is for the Alas de Agua collective. It's right on the screen right now. On the bottom, I'm also scrolling through Chicano coloring books. It's a really fun. Can you share? Can you share that? Yeah, awesome. How many books do you have?
There, I should have about 10 of these. So it's half of the whole series. The whole series. And this one here is like full color, and it's also there.
Oh wow!
But, I'm like trying to figure out orientation.
That's so cool. Beautiful.
Pero, so that's where you can get on that ChicanoColoringBooks.com, and then on the Water Hummingbird House is where you can get like the T-shirts and the paintings. And that was homework I was doing today. I was like, oh, I better update and put some new stuff on there. So I put the T-shirts on there. But I was telling you I was going to show you the other one.
Sure. And I'm going to show in a minute. Oh, wow. I love that one. That is so cool. And it's got a deer in it. Wow.
Yeah.
That is so great. I love that. Thank you. So they can find your T-shirts like the one you're wearing too. They can find it on the Water Hummingbird House, right? Cool.
And but it's this one because before this was the last shirt I had made.
Oh, really? Interesting. Yeah. Very interesting. Yeah, I'm gonna be a customer here as soon as we hang up. So anyway, you guys, give it a like to his page. Also, Alas de Agua Art Collective is on Facebook. Please give it a like and check out their work. I'm gonna share really quick, Israel, if that's okay. I'm gonna go on the Alas de Agua page really quick. I'd like to share with people. I'm gonna go here. Let me see. Let me see. Turn that out. Here. I have. Turn this off. So I have. This is some of his work. You guys, can you see that, Israel?
Yeah. I can see.
Okay. Yeah. So you guys, this is some of his art. Like it's so really awesome. Like I was saying, it reminds me of like ancient wisdom, and also you know, like the codexes and stuff, but he has a very particular style. Like you can see how his inspiration comes from a deeper place. And so anyway, I have like this piece right here is pretty cool, like with the eagles. And I love like the hands, the way how you position the hands. They remind me of Eastern cultures too. This is another one of your coloring books. That's the one I downloaded. Yeah.
And yeah, they could download that one on the Water Hummingbird House for free digital copy, or they can order it on the other website.
Okay.
So yeah, well, you know, because you downloaded, I think. Is that what you downloaded?
Yes, that's the one I downloaded. Yes. So yeah, I just wanted to share some of your artwork. So this is a really wonderful way of doing it. Like you guys can see, that is one of his amazing drawings. Did you digitally do that one, like for the drawing part?
Yeah, those are done digitally. Those ones that you're looking
at. This one's pretty neat. I love that one. It's just like the faces are so cool. Anyway, that's for your actual page, and I have Alas de Agua collective. I have this video here that I'd like to share really quick. This is a recent video. A couple months ago, they got together to be able to create a mural in Santa Fe. So this is just one of the videos that I saw to share and how people are making beautiful art. This is a graffiti piece they're doing in Santa Fe.
Right. And that's Jessica Ortiz and John Paul were working on that one. And then I eventually came on and did some work on there.
Oh, you did? And I wanted to ask you something, Israel. Was there was like this place in Santa Fe that has like the feather serpent like carvings everywhere, that it was being like restored? Were you a part of that?
We helped Moira Garcia organize and bring people out there. We did some of the painting and restoring, but the main person that was heading that was Moira Garcia. And it's, I forget the streets that it's such a beautiful mural that's a part of the whole park, but really awesome too, because you see one of the original Chicano artists that's still alive, that's still doing murals, not doing murals anymore because they're older now, but really beautiful. Hear him talk about all the historical landscape of everything that they've done around Santa Fe and all the murals that they've done. They just got the blessing to go back there and help restore that mural. And another big right now
I'm sorry. Do you remember the name of that park?
Barrio Analco, creo que se llama. But it reminded me that right now too, it's like with the whole thing that the Three Sisters Collective has been fighting with that mural that they're trying to take down on it's the multiculturalism mural that they had said that you couldn't restore it, but now the experts are saying no, we never said that. So there's just been a big back and forth about trying to keep that mural alive, because when you take away our murals, you take away our cultura, you take away our histories. It's another form of erasure. So and that's, it's important to not only make more murals, but keep the ones that are existing, because they're like I said before, they're the people's history. And we can't wait till you do a mural over here whenever you're ready. We have paint, we have volunteers, we have walls. So
oh wow, that would be so cool. That's a dream of mine to someday do a mural, just including a community though. Like I don't want to do it by myself. I think it's like I'm used to working with people, like when I do like bigger work, and I think it's such a rewarding experience to be able to share a creative space like that with having lots of hands working at the same time.
There's two ones that I'm going to propose to you if you want them. Right on that wall that you just videotaped, that was inside of a property. And now we're going to go back to the outside of it that's facing the community, and she wanted one that was the community. And then there's a bakery, I forgot the panaderia, what it's named, but it's down Cerrillos Road, and they want us to do this mural about the bakery. But then on the back, that's not as public, but it's like pretty long. You know, if you wanted to work with people, those are there now. But there's always we are walls. So
yeah, well, cool. Yeah, I think that when the time is right, we'll make it happen for sure. You know, we've been staying in quite a bit. Like we're not like right now, we're not like my husband and I are not into it going anywhere. But right at this time, but I think it's gonna start easing up more as time goes by. But I have, let me see. Somebody's saying amazing art. Rob Martinez is saying amazing art. Very inspiring artwork. Irene Nino Scott. She's in California. I think she's in Sacramento. So, yeah, Veronica Sanchez, great thoughts and ethos. Muchísimas gracias y adelante. Everybody's like sending you like good vibes. And I do too. I really love your work and also your wife's work. I think it's a wonderful. You guys are so beautiful. Like when you guys have come out to see me at Contemporary Hispanic Market, and it's like just so wonderful to see you and just to share, a conversation. And every time I run into you guys, it's always like a really pleasant experience. Your wife Isabel has the most amazing and beautiful energy. She's very calm. She has this beautiful calmness to her, and I think so. And so do you. So I think it's pleased to know you, and I'm hoping that we can collaborate at some point, not in the very far future. And we have been starting a conversation with other artists too on Zoom. Remember, like we are talking to other people too to see if we can figure out something just as a support, and see if we can come up with some good ideas to be able to collaborate like from afar and stuff, and how we can support each other. But it's so wonderful to know you, Israel. It's just for me. Let me just share really quick before we go, and then you can share if you want to share anything before we go. I want to share. This is my take. I hope you like it, because I thought it was a little. So yeah, I just chose like very different like colors and stuff, and I made it like completely geometrical, which was kind of fun. I love doing it because I was like comparing like the two sides, just going from one side to another. It was a really fun. I want one of your coloring books or more, because it's such a wonderful thing to do, like therapeutic, and it's just very much something that you just very, very intently do. And thank you so much for letting us print this. You guys, if you have the chance to do this is going to be recorded for the future. I hope you get to see it. And we have been having quite a bit of an audience. Like during the broadcast, we have right now only 8 people. Thank you guys for being here, for joining us. And it evolves like when we stop the video in a little bit later, like people just start signing in. You'll see like this just starts going into a bigger audience and stuff. So yeah, guys, please, Alas de Agua Art Collective, Water Hummingbird House, Chicano Coloring Books. Please visit all these websites and pages. Israel Francisco Haros López is a very talented artist from East LA. I don't have the pleasure to have never been there. I hope that someday I get to visit East LA, because I know I'm gonna love it. I'm just gonna fall in love with the place. I hear so many wonderful things about it, and it's such an honor that you are a part of the community in New Mexico, and you're enriching the culture and the place as well. You and your wife and everyone around you, and all of the creativity that you put into the world, it just makes it much better. And thank you so much for being here. And I look forward to seeing all of your new projects and all of that. And please keep us in the loop. And thank you.
Yeah, and then I look forward to flipping the script, because one of the new projects for me is interviewing people, and you're on my hit list.
Awesome. I look forward to that. Awesome. Very good. Let us know so we can share also like your everything that you're doing with that, and we'll be happy to support you in any way we can.
Yeah, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. It's gonna make my weekend go into art mode.
Awesome.
So
thank you. Say hello to your beautiful wife, and we'll see you next time. Thank you, Israel.
Bye.